folks. Valérien Ismaël gets his bloody first win. We got some music. Yo, that's right. We got Big Val celebrates his first win as Rovers coach against the Luton Town, who were kicking ass and taking names, but they were outdone by the Frenchmen. Bonjour, bonjour, and bonjour, bonjour. Couple guys with me, Jonty and Jacob. Denver's on his way. We're going to talk about the first win. We're going to talk about where we are with Blackburn Rovers. And we're going to talk about maybe a bit about the toxicity a little bit. But of course, wherever you are in the world, make sure you subscribe, smash the like, and of course, get in there. So, one man who wasn't there, Jacob, you weren't there, but you caught the game. The best that we played under what was it? The best that we played under Valérien Ismaël, or wasn't it? Your take from the last 90 minutes. Hang on a minute. I've got you muted.
Terrible, Dirk.
I know. Hey, I've been running around ragged. We made it in the end. Anyway, where were you?
No, I was just going to say, I think we started the game fairly well. I think that kind of petered out towards the end of the first half, but then obviously came out second half, got ourselves that early goal in the second half, and then obviously the red card comes, and we just kind of had to fight for our lives and hold on to it. In terms of the best football under Val, I mean that's not a very high bar, let's say, but I mean I'd still say we probably the best football we've seen under Val would be that second half against Middlesbrough. We ultimately created next to nothing against Luton. I think we kind of just rode our luck a little bit in terms of the fact that our one and only chance pretty much we put away, and obviously following that with 10 men, Luton go on to hit the woodwork twice, and we just managed to get away with all 3 points in the end. Can I sit here and say that we thoroughly deserved the win? Probably not. I think a fair result probably would have been a draw, but the boys did show a lot of character to be fair, to dig in, and having the likes of Tyrese Dolan, right wing back towards the end there, and really putting a shift in, putting some great tackles in on their winger, whose name escapes me, but he was a threat. And obviously the main man for them, that the guy they got from Wigan, absolutely rattling the crossbar. And it does seem that Toff, to be fair to him, did get a slight fingertip on that, which could have proved all the difference to push it onto the crossbar. But I mean, I mentioned the two times they hit the woodwork, but ultimately Toff didn't really have that much to do either all game. So we did kind of do our part as well, I suppose.
Yeah, it was definitely kitchen sink job at the end there by Luton Town, trying to get themselves back into it. And Asgard's the guy from Wigan who did hit the bar. But they had good opportunities. It was a bit like the old days, a little bit underused. It's very defensive, and for Rovers, they delivered for a change, getting in front, staying in front.
I tell you what, I'd definitely be looking at Luton for a couple of their players in the summer, and it's looking like that result's probably going to see them go down now. It was a big blow, that. But Kaminski, I'd be having him back. Asgard, we've been linked with him when he was at Wigan. I'd be taking him, and there's probably a few other players in there who I wouldn't mind back. But Amari Belly can stay.
Right on. Jonty, are you there? I can't see. Oh, there he is. I can't see you down below, but you were there. You were at Luton. It looked like you had a good day of it as well. Met a good bunch of Luton Town fans, some Rovers fans, and you looked like you had a jolly old time. How was your take of your trip to Kenilworth? Your first trip to Kenilworth Road?
Second, no, I was there 2 or 3 seasons ago when we drew 0-0. My brother went to university in Luton, so I've been to Luton. It's a team or a club that I've followed closely because of my brother's links to Luton. He was there in our amazing seasons of '93 all the way through to '96. So we were winning the Premier League back then. But he was part of the London club, which enabled me to go to the famous Liverpool away game where we lifted the trophy. So so that was amazing. But I mean, great bunch of fans. Honestly, they really are. I thought Millwall were excellent when we went there on the 18th of December. But Luton, every single one of them that I spoke to was just extremely knowledgeable about football. And testament to that is he knew quite a lot what was happening with Blackburn Rovers, or asking me about Venky's off camera and stuff like that. So yeah, really good club. But no, it was a great day. I mean, to be fair, the writing was on the wall. Luton, I was going to say they're on form. They weren't on form, but they were just a really, really difficult team to beat. They'd had some good results. They'd beaten Hull away. They'd drawn away at Leeds as well, and they hadn't lost for about 6 or 7 games. And Blackburn Rovers were a wounded animal, weren't we, going into that game? So it looked like it was going to be one-way traffic. It wasn't a case of are we going to lose? It felt more like a case of how many are we going to lose by? And also history tells us that we haven't won at Kenilworth Road for such a long time. I think Noah was just getting off the ark when last time Rovers last won at Kenilworth Road. So I went with no expectations. I went with no hope. It just completely surprised me. I think, it was a bad day at the office for Luton. To be fair, speaking to some fans afterwards, whilst you could see the sort of grit and determination, there was just, and this sounds ever so familiar, doesn't it? There was just no end product there, and that seems to be the story of Blackburn Rovers. There's just no end product. We got a bit of a break. I thought it was a really well taken goal. To be fair, great sort of interception by Tyrese Dolan, a quick, couple of 1-2s through to Hedges. Hedges played it through, and Yuki did the rest, sort of thing, on the outside of his boot. So it was fantastic support from Rovers supporters as well. It felt like we were loud, we were noisy all through the game, sort of thing, which is brilliant. I don't know what it sounded like on the television, but we were actually just before Yuki scored, literally just as he was scoring, we were singing "Oh Thomas Kavinsky." And that led to the goal, and then we kind of like stuck with that because we thought, hang on, last time we sang that, it's like he gave us a goal as well. But I sincerely hope Luton don't go down. And like I say, I think they're a great club. I'd love them to do the dirty on Derby, but who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I spoke with a couple of Luton Town fans before that on different channels and all that, and I did reiterated, if there's if we could cherry pick who goes down, I'm sure we know which club we want to go down, and that there's a Midlands club beginning with D and ends in Arby. So hopefully they do go down. Just to have a little bit of karma. I'm sure they'll be fine next year, Derby. But
big shout out to the referee as well. I forgot about him. Big shout out to the referee for being an absolute dickhead. he was shite, wasn't he? He was really, really shite. He was to send Montgomery off, over something that. I mean, it was questionable whether that was even a yellow card, let alone a second yellow card. Surely to God, a young lad like that, you go over to and just say, calm it down. You're already on a booking, but it wasn't even a second bookable offence for me. He did something a little bit worse, minutes before. Whether that's had some form of opinion to it, I don't know. But I mean, to then play 9 minutes of extra time, where that came from, but to then actually play 12, 13 minutes of extra time, I mean, geez, for the follically challenged people of us, and my fingernails were down to the bone as well. It was just ridiculous, wasn't it?
It was a bit stupid, and I did feel bad for the guy. He wasn't like it was a malicious challenge or something daft like that. So yeah, it must feel a little bit hard done by, but I think he still comes out squeaky clean. I remember when Mac Targay got sent off in his first sending off or whatever. There was a big turn from the fan base towards Maktar, like he's an idiot and all this kind of stuff. Whereas this red card was was a little bit daft, and it probably shouldn't have happened. Denver, first and foremost, how's the golf? Who's winning?
Well, McIlroy just pulled it back last time I seen. He just pulled it back from the 20. He dropped 2 on the first hole, but we're not here to talk about golf, Dirk. As much as I really want to carry on watching it, but I'll get back to that later. But
well, it must go on for a little bit longer anyway. Did you catch the game yesterday, or just the highlights?
I watched the full game yesterday, and honestly, it's just so refreshing to actually watch a Blackburn team play well. It's been so long, genuinely. And when that red card happened, it was a silly one. It was we've got 57 minutes. We played 57 minutes, the rest of the game to go, and I think we did a really good job. I know they had a few chances. Toth making that ridiculous save on the inside of the bar, and another one going off the top of the bar. And they had a few close shaves, so we rode our luck for sure. But it was a good game. We had our moments to maybe score another with Dolan and Miktar, and it didn't quite work out. But on the whole, I think from what we've been watching for the past at least 7 or 8 weeks, it was really refreshing to see a good performance at least, and a win. Especially at Luton. When we heard that stat, we never won at Kenilworth Road, and we're waiting for Ishmael to get his first win. It was just written in the stat. I just knew, I was like, right, today's going to be the day. Today's going to be the day, and it was, thankfully. So yeah.
Indeed, it was massive. It's a big one, big hoodoo off the back for Big Val. Let's get us all in the shot here, of course. So first win in, I didn't even know how many games. I did, again, chatted with the Luton Town fans. I asked them then themselves, how long did it take for them to get their first win? Because it felt like a eternity for us to get the first win. I think they had a lot longer stretch without their first win under the new coach. But things are moving in the right direction for them, even though they're still down there. But the form for us, that's a terrible shot there. Let's do it like that. Looks like this. This is the form coming into this pretty grim stuff for us. We did pick up the massive win and a good back-to-back games now, unbeaten under Big Val. Let's roll with that bad boy. But before we take a deep dive into one of my main topics for the day, there we go. I'm just still figuring this all out. This stuff. Let's talk a little bit about the recent toxicity around Blackburn Rovers. Let's talk a little bit about that. I know it's a bit taboo and we shouldn't really be talking about it, but we're going to talk about it. We're going to bring it. We got to talk about the elephant in the room. So Jacob, let's start with you. The fans have spoken out. They've talked about, the hierarchy and their lack of understanding or lack of operational sense in recent times. And the fans have spoke out. Where do you sit with Venky's, with the owners and the general feel of Blackburn Rovers at the moment?
Can I just say before Jacob speaks, is the elephant definitely in the room for me is Jacob's tan is phenomenal, mate. Have you been out in the sun recently? It's been sunny in the UK, has it?
This is all fake tan, mate, honestly.
Wait till we see the karaoke machine later. The karaoke song.
Oh, yes.
Live. But anyway, back to the grim stuff that is the Venky's hierarchy. Jacob, tell me where you feel, are you in line with what seems to be the majority of the Rovers fan base, or at least the majority of the social media Rovers fan base?
I've supported the kind of movement that has gone on with it's kind of like a group of influential Rovers fans, but obviously, as I'm sure everyone knows who's listening, have wrote to the board demanding that they didn't come to the games. That was never going to happen, but I think obviously the whole point of it was to create media attention around the club once again. Obviously the fact that Venky's have been in situ for so long, it's not really even a story anymore. So to obviously kind of put that out there, such kind of a drastic demand, obviously it did get, the guy from one of the podcasts to go on TalkSport a couple of times and speak on TalkSport and just raise awareness once again of the issues kind of surrounding the club and whatnot. And obviously just the feeling around the club. I think obviously out of that, the video that got released from the phrase, the Hale, Wagger and Gestead was a poor one, but at least it was kind of some type of communication. But, when we've got the likes of Gestead there trying to spin the fact that 10 players are leaving this summer as a positive is just absolutely bonkers in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, obviously, and then, we've got the likes of Sahale justifying the price increases and things like this on the season tickets when comparatively, I think this season Burnley have had cheaper season tickets for us. You look at Bolton just down the road. Yes, they are in a lower league, but they're getting 20,000 fans on because they're selling their tickets for about half the price we are. And again, that is in a lower league, so they shouldn't really be getting as many on as us. And yeah, I mean, obviously, the scenes that we saw against Middlesbrough weren't exactly pretty. Going into the ground, it felt like we were playing Burnley or something with the police presence that was there, and obviously with all the kind of protesting that was going on at the front of the Blackburn end. And then following that against Sheffield Wednesday, I got searched for the first ever time actually going into the Blackburn end. I was told to kind of put my arms up and get searched. So just kind of a hostile feeling around Ewood at the minute. I do question what the atmosphere is going to be like against Millwall now that we've managed to get two kind of positive results back to back. Is the kind of noise suddenly going to die down? I would think not. It might be a bit more tame, like it was against Sheffield Wednesday. We weren't kind of seeing the same protests, but yeah, I do think obviously the Venky's time has been up for a long time, but obviously the fact that out in that interview, we've been having to take payday loans to pay off things. Obviously with asset strip the club. You look at obviously just in the recent couple years, Adam Wharton and Smodix both going for 8-figure sums, and our squad as a whole right now, there is only 2 players that we've spent more than £1 million on, that being Matt Targay and Dom Hyam, who we bought years ago. The rest of them are we've bought for £1 million or less, which is just absolutely crazy. And it gives John Eustace more credit in the bank for how the fact he got us to where we were in the league before he left. It gives some credit to Jonty won't like this, but to John Dale Thomason for getting us to where we were in the league before he left. But yeah, that's my thoughts, Dirk. I'll let Jonty respond.
Well, it's good because I want to get Jonty's take on it, because you are of a certain era. You're a younger fella than myself and Jonty. So we've been blessed with some good times. You have been raised pretty much in the Venky era, so
Yeah.
it is pretty bleak from your standpoint. But Jonty, your take on the current? You got to be blind, deaf, and dumb if you haven't seen the recent the tales of the Rovers fans towards those higher up officials, and just the toxicness that is starting to boil or has been boiling at Rovers. So what's your take on it? Where do you sit? That kind of jazz.
Yeah, I don't know. I've probably got a controversial opinion, but I think Jacob raises a really valid point. Is, if I had come into Blackburn Rovers only, 10, 15, 20 years ago, then my view might be very, very different. But the reality is, I've seen stuff with Rovers which I never thought I would see. I'm proud to sit here as a Rovers fan and say, I've been there, done it. Got the T-shirt, albeit extra large T-shirt. Yeah, I'm controversial. I think sometimes you've got to be careful what you wish for. Venky's have been there for 14, 15 years now. We did all the protests. We were a much bigger club when they came in. The asset stripped us then. Don't get me wrong. I don't want them there any more than the next man does. But you've just got to be careful what you wish for. There's nobody, knocking down the door to buy the club, sort of thing. If there was, happy days. Yes, I will be. Yeah, Venky's, please just do us a favour, let us go. Put your pride to one side, put your business hat on, and just sell the club. But the reality is, there's nobody banging down the doors to buy us. Nobody will, whilst there's such toxicity. Is that a word? I don't know. Toxicity. Thank you, mate. In the club, it's. I'm trying to think of an analogy. My simple mind works better on simple analogies. It's a bit like if you were in a nightclub, and this is going to be a really bad analogy, so forgive me, but it's the best I can come up with at this late hour. But if you were in a nightclub and there's a girl there that you're quite an attractive looking girl, something like that, and you're looking at her, but she's having an absolute go at either a current boyfriend or her ex-boyfriend, you'd think, oh God, she looks like a bit of a hard nut sort of thing. You just walk past. And the point I'm trying to make is, the more we go on singing we want Venky's out and all of this stuff, it just doesn't make us an attractive proposition for a prospective buyer, sort of thing. You know, there's other clubs up for sale, probably slightly more attractive than Blackburn. So, you know, for me, you've just got to get behind the team, and I guess that's easier for me to say because I've been through Rovers with the good times. I'm going through the bad or the turbulent times, whatever you want to call it. So it's easier for me to say that because I've been there, I've done it, I've got the t-shirt. So, but you know, for people like Jacob, all he's seen is unfortunately the real shit end of the stick at this moment in time. So I accept that, you know, there's completely different views. I just don't agree with all this Venky's out whilst we're pitch side. Leave that to at the turnstiles. Leave it to outside. You know, the directors' entrance and things like that. If that's what they want to do, I just, you know, we went 1-0 up yesterday, and you know, we started with all this. We want Venky's out, and you know, the ripple effect onto the players as well. The players will be thinking, really, we've just scored a goal, we've gone 1-0 up, and now they're singing that sort of thing, and it's just like, you know, if you're about to sign a contract and somebody else comes in for you that's a more settled club, then that surely to God has to play a bit of a thought. You know, it's just so negative, so doom and gloom, isn't it? Like I say, I don't want Venky's there any more than your next man does, but equally, you know, I wasn't singing any of the Venky's out. You know, I just singing, you know, Rovers till I die, and you know, all the other chants that we know and we love, sort of thing. So it's a sorry state of affairs, mate. You know, I've asked a few people. I mean, Waggett is a wanker. What good's that doing to anybody? You know, he's 7, 8 years into the job. Is he doing a bad job? I don't believe so. You can argue there's a few things, you know, that he's got wrong, and you know how much of over the facts. I'll call it facts gate. I'm sure you know what I mean, um, but you know, yeah, yeah. Why shouldn't he? Yeah, why shouldn't he? Cost of living. There's a cost of living. Most other people in any form of employment all took a pay increase last year as well. I know I did. You probably did. I know you're probably not going to say that on camera, but you know, most people did out there because there was a cost of living crisis. You know, over the last couple of years, anyway. Yeah, but did we not make a profit for the first time last year? Don't get me wrong, Jacob. I think we're on the same page, mate. But you know, he took a salary increase, of course he would. But like I said to you right at the top of this, you've just got to be careful what you wish for sometimes. You know, there was, even when, you know, Sam Allardyce, Venky's took over, Sam Allardyce was in charge, people were getting itchy feet over Sam Allardyce. I was one of those included as well. I was getting itchy feet. It was getting a little bit boring football, a bit probably like how Burnley fans felt over Sean Dyche, and you know, and we needed to strive on to better things, and that's honestly where we thought we were going as a club. But I mean, the harsh reality is, it's gone south ever since then, sort of thing. So I can't get anybody to name me a better chief executive that would come in under these current circumstances and do a better job than Steve Waggett. I really can't, honestly. I know it sounds farcical. I can hear some little snorts down my earpiece and what have you. But honestly, I don't think we would attract the caliber of person that could probably do the job that Steve Waggett's doing. I mean, you know, let's be honest. A lot of the stuff that we hear and read is on social media anyway, which I take with a pinch of salt. You know, I like to deal with more facts rather than emotions, sort of thing. I know this is going to piss a lot of people off. I know it's going to be controversial. There's going to be loads of comments and, you know, all of that good stuff. But I've got to say it from the heart. Yeah, I just worry for the club. The more changes that go on at this moment in time is more fearful. Just get behind the team. We've got a decent squad there. You know, all this about there's 10 contracts at the end of the season. Well, guess what? There's probably about 90 other clubs out there saying, "Shit, you know what? We've got 7 or 8 players out of contract." It's no different. We're no different. We just make a little bit more noise about it because we're going through a turbulent time. I don't know. Maybe I just look at things differently. I don't know. Maybe yeah.
Well,
Past three January windows, in my opinion anyway, have been pretty tragic. You look at the one just gone. We've had to just let Sigurdsson walk out the door. He didn't. He thought he was staying with the club, and I think personally that's one of the big reasons why Eustace kind of was pissed off. It seemed like he really wanted Sigurdsson to stay, and in turn,
we let someone like that go, and in a period of time where I know we wanted to go and play football, but it's just like looking at the injury crisis that we've got at the minute with like Hayden Carter. I know we can't anticipate all of this, but just the head that he had in and around the club, and we let Sigurdsson go, we let the experience of McFadden go, and then I'm sure that isn't helped with the fact that Eustace leaving very soon after. It was just really poorly managed. But yeah, it's not. Hindsight's of course a wonderful thing. People saying why would not keep David Lowen, but at the time you think it was a good decision to get Ishmael in, and it has been a pretty bleak period of time, and decision making at the club's been a bit all over the place. But I'll let Jacob finish his point, or John T. I think was going to speak.
Yeah.
no,
I
I
was
was
just
sorry. I was just going to say, obviously, so that January window, we've just had kind of Sigurdsson go for nothing. Obviously he was a big prospect when he come in, and I know he hasn't lived up to it, but he is a player that I would rather have at Blackburn Rovers right now than a Corley Woodrow who has positively contributed nothing. Sigurdsson has proved this season he can win a game for us as he did against Oxford. As I said, I think that was one of the reasons why Eustace was quite pissed off, just because clearly there was something that had gone wrong there to have a squad over the limit and then just to let a player walk. And then it obviously, without mentioning, the January before that, Duncan Maguire, the January before that, the Ethan Brierley and the O'Brien situations. That's 3 Januaries in a row, which have contributed to, I mean, this season and the O'Brien season, us missing out in playoffs, that will have contributed to it. I have no doubt about that. Just the shit shows that they were, and if the whole Maguire situation last season, that could have very seen us go down if if it weren't for Smodics kind of just having his heroics. But yeah, I'll let you have your take now, Jonty.
Yeah, it's just you mentioned Sigurdsson. To say he was our highest paid player, and you can only draw on one-off goal, which was the Oxford goal. Other than that, let's be deadly honest, he did jack shit. He was pretty poor for us. So the fact that you can only draw on one occasion for our highest paid player is yeah. I think you've answered your own question there. I mean, also what you've got to remember, you come up with all these different things about Eustace. That's why he left. It's all hearsay. There's nothing fact. For me, I believe that he went for the money. That was probably his primary reason. His secondary reason was probably closer to his family. Again, weak as piss, but it's just we're on a downward spiral under Eustace as well. Let's not forget that. So maybe he's thinking that I can't see a way out of getting the team out of that situation. Have we won 4 in 11 games or something like that? So everything wasn't rosy under that. And I suppose the only other thing I'd add is granted about Faxgate, you've mentioned three transfers windows. Two things on that. Number one, that happens at other clubs, but it was really poorly done. The fact that we'd shown him there with the shirt on a couple of occasions and things like that, a couple of players, that was badly done. Yeah, no, nor have I, and that's why.
It's happened before.
Yeah,
100%.
maybe, but
of course he went to Man United the following summer, and we know how that went. But it has happened before. But what hasn't happened before is how we've learned from this mistake. This won't happen again, and then we do the exact same thing the following season. It was like.
It does, yeah. No, I agree with that, but also equally, I mean, I wouldn't mind if for the past 13, 14 years, if we'd sung Venky's out, Waggett is a wanker for the last 7 years and things like that. But we only seem to go into that mold when the results on the pitch aren't going that well. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's for me, you either want Venky's in or you want Venky's out, and if you want Venky's out, then where's it been under Mowbray? Where's it been under JDT? Where's it been under Eustace? Things like that. It's only because we've had a really, really shocking run of results that all of a sudden that sort of worm comes out the woodwork, sort of thing. So, like I said to you, it sounds like I'm an ally of Venky's and Waggett and things like that. I'm not. I'm just putting a slightly controversial spin on it. And for me, it's all about just get behind the team. Let's make us the most attractive proposition. So should we be ever in a position that Venky's do want to sell us, and the only reason why I would want to go up is not so we can get battered every week, because it would be horrendous if we went up, but just that might inspire Venky's to sell the club and get the absolute maximum for the club that they're ever going to get. So but yeah, up until that point, I don't think we're just doing ourselves any favours with Waggett's a wanker and Venky's out. And not only for that, but for the atmosphere, for any young families that want to come down to Ewood, we're not doing ourselves any favour. I know a few people that don't want to go to Ewood because it's quite a toxic place. Well, that's not a great place to take your family. It's not a family day out, is it? For any players that are thinking about signing another contract, it's not a great place to be at this moment in time. So we're kind of not helping the situation as fans, and that's why whenever I go to Blackburn and watch a game, I only sing for the players, and I don't subscribe to all this Venky's out and things like that. Like I say, not for the reasons that I disagree with it, but also more just to make us a better proposition for somebody to buy us. Can I go now, Dirk? I feel like
you did great. You did great.
I've peaked too soon, mate.
I managed to go, have my dinner, sit back, relax, watch a couple of Coronation Street episodes, and I come back, and all is good. So no. Watch the golf. I know who wins. All that kind of stuff. So all good. But no, I want to get back to a couple of comments because we are live. Rovers guy said, "Have you mentioned the court case?" No, we haven't mentioned the court case. The court case has also played its part in the running of the club, the limited funds and stuff like that. So that all goes part and parcel with the recent turn of events. I don't know. You go ahead.
In terms of the club and the funds we'd have to spend. And then in that 30-minute interview he done with the other two, said the exact opposite, and that we had to get a payday loan due to the fact of the courts and all this, and that's restricted how much we've had to spend and stuff. And obviously that is the reason why John Dahl walked as well. So again, we as fans are saying we want more communication from the club. Even when we're getting communication from the club, it turns out it's a pack of lies sometimes. So you can understand why there's certain frustrations for sure.
Again, I'm Mr. Sit on the Fence, so I understand John T's reasons, I understand your reasons, and I understand the fans as well. In that scenario where he says it won't affect the club's funds, isn't the fact that they're getting a loan in to balance out the books a significant? It's saying, look, we're doing this for the short term to be able to cover the costs needed for eventually, if the court case does go well, which it looks like I think it has done. I'm not 100% sure that they can reimburse that later on. It's like it's an internal investment while the court case was going on, so they're able to fund the club. So in that essence, you could say yes, it was covered. Like it wasn't going to cause, which of course, direct funds, it has caused an issue. So they've used the loans to kind of coast for the past, was it a year, 2 years that's been an issue. But also when they're having these conversations and saying all these reasons, or they don't want us to panic as fans. Imagine if they came out and said, look, yeah, we've been crap, we've made bad decisions. Like they're not going to do that either. At the end of the day, they're trying to do their best in the circumstances that they have been given under Venky's, and they're going to try and do their best to please the fans on the whole. If that is same as politics, even if it's a white lie to a degree, they're gonna if I'm in their position, I'd do the same thing. I'd say, look, it's an exciting prospect that we're losing 10 players. As ridiculous as that sounds, what do you want me to say? Do you want me to say, look, we're in a really shit position next season because we've losing a load of players? It's like, Like, what do you expect them to say in it? It's one of them. Yeah, to a degree. Yeah. But at the same time, I can sympathise with the degree that you can try and look at it and say, look, we can get how many players to come in. How if they're going to be any good players, you're never going to know. But sometimes you can maybe picture a Sammy Schmonick from Peterborough, and get it, and that's the philosophy that the club's looking to do. Sell on their assets for quite an expense. And we've done this for a few years now. Sell on and then try and recruit. Brentford did it with the likes, of selling Ollie Watkins and signing Ivan Toney. Your Brightons have done it, and a few clubs are trying to do that. The affordable method of trying to go up. So we're trying to promote within as well through our youth, and if we can sell them assets on for big money, that's how our investment to then not to run the club, and then the little bits, and then we'll try and find the gems from your League Ones and League Twos. Now that might not always work. We'll sign a Coley Wood drawn loan, and it doesn't go very well. And it's one of them. It's you've got to try and trust the process, and you've got the right people in behind to try and sign the right players. But that's it now. Have we got the recruitment system of your Brentfords, of your Brightons? I don't know. We seemed done okay with one or two players, but we're going to need a little bit more significant investment in certain areas to make it. Like just we're very nearly. We're very near. We've got a few good players, and then we never quite make it, and then those players get moved on, and then they've got to be replaced, and we always find ourselves in that bracket where we just need that little bit of a push. Will the Yankees do it? I don't know. We'll see what happens after the court case with a little bit more funds there. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the whole situation.
Well, it's good to hear from all of us. There we go. Now we'll come back to this. We'll put pin in it, right? Let's lighten the mood a little bit and do a bit of something. If I can get this ready here. So it is part of the season, final 4 games of the campaign. The majority of the squad have played a good bunch to see, how well they've fared. A couple of people in most recent times have had more minutes than they typically have. So now we're going to get the opinion of you three for the team itself. So let me just do one swift change to the screen here. You're not going to see it because I just realised that we have a little bit of tight space at the bottom here, so I need to make sure you can all see it. So what I'm going to ask you, one by one, we'll start with the first one right here. It is Ainsley Pears. I just want you to give me a grading out of 10 for him. So 10 being amazing, 1 being absolutely garbage, and then maybe if you wanna drop your opinion on will they be here next season, because there's already been links with Ainsley Pears going as a 3rd or 4th choice keeper at Manchester United. Would you, Adam, believe that? I don't believe it. That's crazy stuff. But I have read it. It's out there. It's a legitimate article. It's not just smoke screens. So from left to right, we'll start with Jacob. What's your opinion on Mr. Pears here?
6 out of 10. I do think he'll be here next season, but I would still like us to sign another first team keeper. From what I've seen this season, I don't think Toff is good enough to be starting. I think he flaps at way too many crosses. We saw that against Luton. Every single corner that practically came in, he really put me on edge. And yeah, unfortunately, we've kind of seen that at times with Pears, not to the same degree. But yeah, Pears had a good little spell when we had a good little spell. But there's also been times this season where I think about the Middlesbrough goal, that first one, just not good enough when it comes to dealing with it sometimes. And yeah, I think if we are going to push for playoffs next season, which I assume is the goal, I think we need a better first team keeper, personally.
Do you think an experienced keeper, somebody like in the late
Thomas
20s, early
Kaminski?
30s? Say again, Denver?
Thomas Kaminski, maybe, if he goes
Who
down.
knows?
You never know. Even if we did
I'd have him back in a heartbeat.
Yeah. So you reckon he could be second choice next season, Pears, or something like that?
I think we'll bring someone in to compete with him. I'd say it's a priority, personally. Maybe we don't. I don't know. It depends what Ishmael thinks, I suppose. But if I had it my way, I'd bring in someone to compete with him who has the intentions of starting, and Pears has to be number 2. Yeah.
All right. Well, Denver, you get the luck of the draw. You get the Hungarian version.
And you know what? I've got. I'm going to say 5, just because. Look, he's yeah, exactly. He's been a bit pot player. We've seen him in only a handful of games. He had a really poor game. Was it against Cov? If I'm right, was it Cov?
Coventry, yeah.
Yeah. That was the only one where you've gone, because he had an all right game, albeit quiet against Middlesbrough, and then he played against Wolves, didn't he? If I'm right,
He did.
But then you're playing against, I know they're not done well this season, but an established Premier League side, and he didn't look out of harm's way. He made a ridiculous save yesterday, but yes, again, he flaps at a few things. But for what he's worth and for what the position that he's in, I can't complain. He's done okay. He's not number one material, hence why he's staying on the bench. But he's not been bad. He's been on a decent number 2. We've seen a lot worse goalkeepers come through our time at Rovers.
Well said.
Yeah. Okay, John, you get a good one. Callum Britton.
I think if there was an award for most improved player, I think Callum Britton would absolutely be up there in the top 2 or 3, maybe. Yeah, he's gone in leaps and bounds, hasn't he? Yeah, I'm trying to think what his career was. Was he Barnsley before?
Yeah.
MK Dons. He played for MK Dons as well at some stage. Or I know that because I worked down there, so I keep half an eye on MK Dons. So I think I actually saw Callum Britton playing for MK Dons. But yeah, you know what? I'd be quite gutted if I saw him leave. I'm looking at you 2 players that you've put up already, Pears and Toth. I think I'm slightly higher on Pears. Again, Jonty being controversial, I prefer him to Tommy Cat. There was always a really two mistakes in Tommy Cat a game where I think Pears is only one. I think Toff's a bit of a flapper. So me personally, I would have put Pears at 8. I would have probably put Toth at 5 or 6, maybe. I think Denver said it there. It's tough coming in, especially as a goalkeeper, where if you make a mistake, it leads to a goal. So but what I've seen of Toth already, he's got some big boots to fill, and I don't think he's done a bad job, apart from there's aspects of his game that he just needs to work on. But that might just be nerves, and once he's had 2, 3, 4, 5 games running the team, that might come out of him. But no, in terms of Callum Britton, yeah, 8 out of 10. I think he's looking better and better. He's looking fitter. I remember, I don't mean that in any other way apart from me more athletic. It's not the Alice band or anything like that, but he's more up and down that right wing than what I've seen before. Even in like the 89th minute, he's still pushing on. I like to see that. So yeah, it's a solid 8 for me.
Solid 8. Hopping back to you, Jacob. We'll do Pickering, Mr. Pickering.
Your favourite player, Jacob?
My favourite player, the Slug. To be fair, from what he's played this season, it's probably been his best season anyway, in my opinion. But obviously, he has been injured for quite a bit of the season. Obviously, he's had some competition this season in the likes of Beck, and now obviously he's got Ribeiro to compete with. Maybe that did kind of bring the best out of him early in the season, having to compete with Beck. And to be fair, when we had Pickering at left back and Beck just in front of him at left wing, I did think that was a good combination there. I think I'd give Pickering a 7, but yeah, he hasn't played as much this season as he usually does.
All right.
So as generous as I'm ever going to be for him.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
You get the other left back currently on the books, and now officially signed on the dotted line for next year, Yuri Ribeiro.
This is an interesting one because we've seen of him, he hasn't been too bad, but the results since he's come in have been poor. So how much you credit that to him and his performance, I don't know. I'd give him because I'm looking at him, picks being 7 like that. I'd give him a 6. I think in my head now, naturally, I'd give him a 6 just because the results have been really, really poor. Of course, of lately fallen straight out the playoff places, but he's been a solid backup. Or maybe possibly starting next season left back, but yeah, no, he's not blown me away by all means, but he's been a very solid player.
Jonty, you'll have ex-skipper Dom Hyam, ever present.
Played every game, every minute.
Yeah, I do like Don Hyam. I'm glad that he signed again. I think he's better with Danny Barr next to him. I think Hyam probably feels a little bit more pressure when he's got one of the younger lads next to him, and feels like he has to lead. But with Danny Barr, they seem to be on a really good wavelength. So no, I like him. I think he's a solid 8 for me.
8 piece. Yeah, I gotta fix this stupid slideshow. Okay, Jacob, you get his partner in crime, Danny Bart.
Yeah, I think obviously, as Jonty said, Barth's been brilliant this season. I don't think any of us would have expected getting him on a free that he'd play as many minutes this season as he has. But he's been class when he's. Oops.
Don't worry, keep going. Just do your thing. It's my own bad. I'm just playing around.
No worries. He's been class obviously when he's been called upon, and I think obviously we'll extend his contract into next season. I'd hope so. And I wouldn't mind at all seeing him starting at the back with Hyam next season. Obviously, we've still got Carter who could challenge him there, but I think the three of them are really solid options. So I think considering we've got Bath on a free, and obviously he's kind of been chucked in the deep end when he did start getting into the team, I think I'd give him a 9, and that'd be fair.
Wow.
He's definitely one of those for player of the season, in my opinion.
9 for Danny Bart. This is a tricky one here. It was maybe Denver next. But did he actually play Scott Wharton?
I think he has.
He hasn't.
Has he not?
Just give him a 10 because of his brother.
He come to Turdmore away and was with the fans.
During the Euros, wasn't it? He was injured when he going over to watch Warren, Adam, should I say? Well, what other than a 0, we can't give him anything. He's not played, has he? So it's got to be a 0. There's not much we can
big fat 0.
Unfortunately, nothing on his own part, but he's been crocked. So
0's harsh. You just need a little line across there. In other words,
-0.
Scott, when Scott Wharton watches this and he sees a 0, it's going to be gutted because we know that they all watch
it. What about okay? Let me change. I'll put That's a bit
DNF.
NA, not applicable.
NA coming at you hot.
Ambulance.
Look at this. You're making Dirk work, eh? Look.
I know. I wasn't prepared. Hayden Carter for Jonty. Now maybe I can figure something out here.
We've not seen that much of him. I do like Hayden Carter. I love that he out of all the players, all the defenders, he seems to push on as a central defender as well, and I don't mind that. I think the Championship is that kind of league where you need to do something a little bit different. You need to be a little bit unorthodox at times. You need, and I think sometimes Blackburn, under Eustace looked a little bit too. We've got a flat back 4 and then the 2 holding defensive midfielders and a 3, then a 1 sort of thing, where Hayden Carter, he will still go into the opposition box probably when he shouldn't do. Probably got bollocking when he gets back into the changing rooms. But no, I do like Hayden Carter. I think for me, he's as. Can I do 7.5? Will that completely mess up your slide deck, Dirk?
Yeah, okay. 7.5.
Doing a Denver there. Just pick a 7 or a 5, man.
Yeah.
7 or an 8. Sorry.
7 or a 5. Quick maths.
7.5.
Owen Beck. Go on, Jacob.
Yeah, Owen Beck.
10.
Yeah. I'd have him back in a hobby, that's for sure. It's not going to happen, but I mean, that first half of the season, he absolutely brilliant, and he's probably the best left back we've had since.
Brian
maybe. I was thinking maybe like Marcus Olsen, but he was probably better than Marcus, so maybe Martin Olsen. But yeah, absolutely class. It's just a shame, obviously. I think with Pickering being injured, he just played way more minutes than he should have for a young lad, and he just looked absolutely goose towards the end of his time with us. And then it does seem like we maybe rushed him back, and then obviously to get injured, I think it was the same injury as well. Yeah, just kind of really rushed back, and it's a shame because he's definitely won us points this season, and probably the best debut I've seen from a Rovers player away at Turf Moor, and to have you as a lone player, to have your name being chanted around, 60, 70 minutes in says a lot. And yeah, he was a proper baptism of fire. So I think I'd give him a 9 just because his performances did start to tail off towards the second half of the season. But like I said, I don't think that's any real fault of his own. He's quality.
Yeah, and who knows? He might come back. Let me do a bit of something here. Make this a little cleaner somehow. Oh fuck! Hang on, where's
The joys of being live, there. Okay.
I know. It's okay. We'll get there. Oh crap!
Oh no.
Who's next, Dion?
That was
It's
Hedges.
Sanderson, yeah, Dion Sanderson. Do you want me to start, Dirk? While you
Yeah. You carry on.
I would say for Dion, we've not seen loads of him, but when he has played, he hasn't looked too out of place. Especially again, even Luton this weekend, he come on and did a job, got stuck in. I'd give him a C6, maybe a 7. I'd give him a 7 because we've not seen loads of him, but what we have seen of him has been pretty
Would
pretty
you want
good.
him back next year? You think?
I don't know about maybe him back next year, but
He's going Derby.
Exactly.
Yeah, it probably is.
But if it was a free or something like that, I wouldn't say no. But I can't see us going, do you know what, we really need this guy at our club. But I wouldn't. Let's say we did buy him, I wouldn't be disappointed with the signing.
You said 7, right?
Yeah, I think his first game nailed on was a 10 out of 10, wasn't it, for me?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he took one guy out, just completely cleaned him out, and then the second one he just booted a ball in somebody's head. I mean, what more do you want on a debut? But yeah, he's gone downhill since then. But yeah, that was a freak 10 minutes, I think it was. But
Yeah, what was it? Swansea away. He was quite poor, I thought, but it's probably his only poor performance, to be fair to him.
Yeah, he's a steady guy, isn't he? He's not going to set the world on fire. Yeah. Who have I got?
Sondre.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, one of the best central midfielders we've had, or what felt like the best central midfielder we've had for quite a long time. For the first half of the season, since his injury, he's come back. He's not been the same Tronstad that we know and we love. Does that coincide with all the sort of Eustace unsettlement? Maybe. I think out of everybody, if we've got a threat as to who follows Mr. Eustace to Derby, I think probably Tronstad for me is one that might have his head turned and he might end up at Derby. I don't know, but I think injury aside, he did all right yesterday. He just he's a solid player, links brilliantly with Trav. Just not quite had the same sort of impact and influence on a game as a central midfielder that what he did in the first half of the season. And for me, one of the reasons why we were absolutely up there at the start of the season was because of the Tronstad Travis sort of partnership in the centre of the park. So yeah, listen, he's still an 8 for me. I think he's had a good season. I think it's just probably taken the gloss off it. I don't think he'll win Player of the Season just on the basis of since he's come back from injury. He's been all right, but just not the high standards that we know he's capable of now.
Next up, TC.
Yeah. I'm just going to touch on quickly. You mentioned maybe Tronstad following Eustace to Derby. I'd say Travis, if anyone. I think his head's completely gone since Eustace went. And obviously Eustace were the one who kind of brought him back as well after obviously he was estranged to go into Ipswich after John Dahl. So, yeah, personally, Travis's performances have gone completely since Eustace left, and his composure and demeanour on the pitch as well just seems different to me. So, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be shocked if it did. He clearly had a good relationship with Eustace.
Yeah, I think one of them will go. I think not necessarily to Derby, but I think Valérien Ismaël's football doesn't really need two of them, two defensive kind of midfielders if he wants to be attacking front-footed. But
so go on. That's a really good question. Then just round the room, including yourself, Dirk, and I'll start with you, Dirk. I'm going to run this show now, if that's all right.
Okay.
I'm going to run this shit. Who would you not want to go, Tronstad or Travis? So let's say Derby is calling for both. Rovers only would allow one player to go. Would you prefer to see Travis go to Derby, or would you prefer Tronstad to go to Derby?
I would want Tronstad to go to Derby. If I had to keep one of them, I'd keep Travis. He's Rovers through and through. I'd like to see him do his whole career at Rovers. If I can be honest with you, yes, I think he had a good relationship with Eustace. I think it was there in black and white. Tronstads, I don't say they grow on trees, but I think to get something like Travis, someone like Travis, who does love the club, and you can tell to get that back again,
Yeah,
I think it's going to be very difficult to replace him.
Yeah, he bleeds blue and white, does Trav, doesn't he? Even I appreciate what Jacob says about, that he hasn't been the same Trav as, the same passion and what have you. But, when all the Riverside was giving him a stick, or, well, I say all the Riverside, I exclude myself from that. But I could see the sort of, how much it hurt him. And I don't think because of as a player, but just how much he loves the club. He looked genuinely really, really angry with all the comments. I could hear a little bit of what he was shouting back, and he was like, we're trying our hardest. I love this club. He was saying all the right things. But Dev, what are you thinking, mate?
Yeah, we're the same. Look, Trav's been come through the academy. We picked him up from Liverpool, but look, and he's come all the way through. We give him his chance. That blip loan spell was due to the manager that we had at the time, and he's been fantastic. And I think just his presence alone is what we'll miss. Just even against Luton, just the shithousery. I loved it. It was fantastic. Leaving the bottle on the side of the pitch, just to. It could close the yellow cards, but just the little things, the ball hits him in the chest, he goes down holding his face. You hate it vice versa when it doesn't happen to you, but there's those little things that are just phenomenal. As much as Tronstad's a great player, Travis's ability to be a captain and a good person. You hear how all the lads, like Owen, when he had his interview, was saying how Trav's just great around the building and his character. And if we lose that, you lose a little bit of the club. But ultimately, like, you lose that, that attractiveness, that bit of fun that you have at the club. And we had it before Trav when we had Dacky and you had you Danny Grahams and you Charlie Mulgrews and Trav is that at the minute at the club, and that's what we.
Elliot Bennett.
Yeah, Bennett, and when that evolved, it's moved into now Trav's that position now, and you can't really lose that. I can't think of anyone else who would be like that. I can't think of anyone now.
He has.
But yeah, I'm thinking currently now, other than Trav, who's got that bit of a
cheekiness.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a little cheeky, isn't he?
Yeah. Is he captain material though?
No way.
Way.
Like a child.
I think that's a really interesting point for me. As much as just because he bleeds blue and white and he shows all the passion that you would ever want, does that necessarily make him a captain? For me, I'd probably I'd have a different captain. I'd have maybe him or Danny Barr as captain, as well as having Trav on, because then you're almost like getting the best of both worlds. But equally, I've noticed a couple of, especially the last few games when we've been 2-0 down or 1-0 down, and then there's been like, an injury to the opposition player. And as a captain, you would expect to be getting all your players around you and, really sort of galvanizing them and really getting them fired up again. And he's not. Travis sort of like, sometimes for me, my only criticism of Travis, sometimes his body language, just because he's pissed off, which I get, but that's not captaincy role, and I'm just scratching my head thinking, why is he not getting all the players around him and just,
I would like to question that, and not all captains are going to be all the same. Different captains will lead by different examples. Like you look at your Lionel Messi, he wasn't doing that, but his presence alone kind of give him that respect, and his ability on the ball. And you've got certain captains that will do that and get around their players and stuff like that, and you've got some captains that won't. I can't imagine Harry Kane doing that for England. Getting around and and they just lead by example, maybe lead by in different aspects. Every captain will always be different. What I see in Trav is that everyone respects him in that aspect, in the sense of you'll have a laugh with you, put his arm around you, maybe behind closed doors. On the pitch, maybe you'd like to see him talk to his players a bit more, but he will lead by example. I remember, what was it against? Who was it? I think it was Middlesbrough. That second half, him and Dolan really trying to win the ball, trying to lead by example. Maybe he might not do enough of this, but he does have his. I see the captain tendencies elsewhere. Maybe not necessarily as a vocal presence, maybe like as an Elliot Bennett once was. But even Elliot Bennett was an arm around your shoulder, behind closed doors, look after you kind of player, and they earn your respect that way. So it's different.
Yeah.
Captain.
No, I'm gonna. Yeah, I get that, because I'm sure we're gonna come on to it, but just to peak too soon. But Ishmael, some people have been criticising because he's not showing the same passion on the sidelines. Now, don't get me wrong, I prefer to see that manager that kind of, almost runs up and down the sidelines and what have you. But also equally, I respect that Ishmael's just not that kind of guy. So I don't get my knickers in a twist. So it'd be wrong of me to, categorically disagree with you there, Dev, because I'd just like to see it more. Maybe I'm just showing my age now, but one of the best captains I've ever seen at Ewood is Tim Sherwood, nonetheless, and he was extremely vocal. I can't remember who it was, but we had like a young player, it might have even been Ian Pearce, and on the pitch, Tim Sherwood actually mimicked what his problem was. Is that, so there was an attacker running towards, I'm pretty sure it was Ian Pearce, and Ian Pearce sort of went down to, and Tim Sherwood, after the ball went out, he went over to him and said, "Don't go down, stand up." But he was making such a, quite a role model of it, and just almost giving him a coaching lesson on the pitch, live, probably on Sky Sports as well. It was, I've never seen anything like that on the pitch before. He was, they're almost having an argument on the pitch about, his positioning. But Jacob, Tronstad or Trav?
It's a tough one, because I think on their day they're both brilliant. I think I've probably seen more highs with Travis. His passing ability. He's scored way more goals for us. Well, not way more, but he's scored a good few more goals for us than Tronstad has. Tronstad's only got the one against Wrexham. But equally, I've seen some really low lows from Travis. Some of those games under John Dahl, he was absolutely abysmal, and I don't think he should have been anywhere near that team, even as captain. Obviously, yes, he was playing for a manager he clearly didn't see eye to eye with, but, Tronstad has been Mr. Consistent the entire time he's been here. So I don't know. I think it depends on who you're going to partner him with. If next season we're going to partner, if one of them was to go and we were going to partner him with a bit more of a defensive minded again, or a bit more of an 8, maybe you'd keep Travis, because Travis offers a bit more going forwards. But if we're going to put someone quite attacking next to a DM such as a Tronstad, I'd probably rather keep Tronstad, who's probably does the dirty work a bit better at times. So I could see maybe Cantwell, as coming full circle back to Cantwell. I could see Cantwell maybe playing that pivot role quite well. In my opinion, from what I've seen of Cantwell this season, he isn't a number 10. I think he on the team sheet he is, but he floats way too much, and he's never kind of in that natural number 10 position like a Smodics, like a Bradley Dack ever was. Obviously, he doesn't have the goals to his game in open play, as we've seen. He likes to float, and to me, he kind of seems a bit more of a Joe Rothwell type, who we could have in that double pivot role next to someone really solid like a Tronstad, and he'll just keep things ticking over, keep the ball moving and whatnot. And to be fair to him, he isn't shy from a tackle either, is Cantwell, as you'd probably think he would be looking at him. So I'd keep I'd keep Sondre. I'm going to say Jonty because next season I want Todd Cantwell next to him, and Todd Cantwell I'm going to give this season a 6 out of 10, Dirk, because I
6 out of
think
10.
I think
Okay.
it's been a little underwhelming, but he has
Yeah.
had his moments this season where been to Borough away. I think Sheffield Wednesday puts that ball on a plate for Yuki and gets us that equalising goal. He has shown glimpses of his quality, but like I said, I just don't think he's a number 10.
What you're rating him then, Jacob?
He's got 6. He put 6.
6.
But I want to just one thing on Val Ishmael. I think the Val Ishmael you'll see on the touchlines next season will be completely different to the one you see this season. This is
Why
not
is
his
that?
team. Next season, it's going to be his team, his babies, his project. He's just getting through. He's just getting through these weeks here before he sticks his. Whoa, that sounded a bit disgusting there, but gets his fingers stuck into it and starts to shape it his own way. So
You're sticking with Ishmael, aren't you, Dirk?
I am.
God.
I've backed him from the get-go. I've been excited about him when he was at Barnsley. I'm excited that he's a Rovers manager, and I hate that he's getting a lot of stick with Eustace's boys.
I mean, I'm backing him. Don't get me wrong. I'll back any manager to a certain extent, unless it starts with your initials of JDT. But but no, it sounds like you've got your mortgage on him. I've got a tenner on him, but I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Well, I like him. I liked him. I've liked him from the get-go when he wasn't nowhere near Rovers, and I always wanted him. Whenever a job came up, I was like, get Valérien Ismaël and get Valérien. So it's like I've got all my Christmases at once, but it just didn't work out. And then when all these defeats came in, I was like, come on. But I just know it's not his style. We will see a new Rovers next season. It might not. It might cost a few familiar faces their position in Blackburn Rovers team. Travis could be one of them. I don't know, but I'm excited to see what's up ahead in the summer. I just don't know about the recruitment team and if we're going to be able to get anybody in. So we'll see. Anyway, so big fat 6. Who gets my best? This guy can fuck off right now. Give him a 2. Joe Rankin Costello. Who gets him? Does my edit?
Is that me?
Yeah, I don't care. Somebody has to do it.
You can go in from a Dirk. You can go.
I'm not going to do it because it will be a poor rating for the guy, and maybe he needs some morale boosting.
It's been one of them where again he's come in on a whim every now and then because of an injury to Callum Britton, and has he been terrible? I wouldn't say terrible, but he's not been great. 4. I don't want to give any lower. Feels harsh.
Yeah,
it's sad that I genuinely don't think we would have got that draw against Sheffield Wednesday if he'd have been on the pitch second half. I think Montgomery did 10 times better job out of position as a midfielder than Joe Rankin Costello did.
You've got a feel for Joe Rankin Costello, though, haven't you? Because he's been a bit of a utility player. He's had his injuries. Just when he was hitting form, he then got injured. He's played at right back. He's played central midfield. I think I've even seen him playing at left back. He's not had any consistent. A bit like Buckley, just no consistent run in the team. So gets chastised when he comes in for half a game and has a bit of a shite game. So I would personally cut him a bit of slack. But it's your 4. I just like when you shouted 4 Denver. I ducked. I thought I was on a golf course,
Well, hey, it's a very good point, and to have him in the squad is good to have him in the squad because he can play in so many places. So maybe that's a good thing, and maybe if he could accept that and be a bit part player, then albeit then it's good to have those guys on the books. Elliot Bennett was one of those, kind of played in a lot of places at the end of his career there. So if Joe Rankin accepts that, then he'll have a space in the squad. He'll just get very little minutes.
Is Holmesy in the chat, Dirt, or is that a different Holmes? Am I getting confused?
What do you mean? Where's Holmesy in the chat?
Alex Holmes?
Where? What's he doing? What's he saying?
No. I'm what about the chat on YouTube? Alex Holmes.
Oh, I don't know. That's probably our Holmesy. Yeah. What's he saying? Is he slagging us off?
No, he's been JRC. Give him a 4 and move on.
Oh, bloody hell, he's in here. He's in this chat. Oh, Ledge, where are you? Bloody hell.
Is that the same Holmesy?
It's
Or is
got
it
to
a
be.
different
It's
Holmesy?
got to be. There's only one Alex Holmes. What did he put in there? Sorry, I'm all over the place.
Give him a 4 and move on.
Yeah, move on. Who gets Ryan Hedges? Who wants him?
That's me. Rovers guy, Jonty, please stop going away games, my friend. Why? Why?
That's way back. That was way old, that chat.
Oh, is it? Okay. Yeah. No, right. Fair enough. Okay.
Is this the one who gives you grief, Jonty? Is this your number one fan?
I must be going back years and years. Yeah. I was going to say we bloody won. I was there yesterday. Yeah. Just whilst we're on, have you all seen This City Is Ours? It's on BBC. It's actually on now, so we're probably not getting as many views as, but it's on iPlayer if you wanted to watch the whole thing. Where I'm going with this is Joe Rankin Costello, or the main guy, which is James Nelson Joyce, who plays Michael Kavanagh in This City Is Ours. He looks spitting image of Joe Rankin Costello. Has nobody seen it?
No.
just do me a favor. Just watch the first 10 minutes of This City Is Ours. It's absolutely brilliant. It's only one series, 6 episodes. It's even big in America as well at this moment in time.
Check it out.
This City Is Ours. Yeah. Ryan Hedges. Frustrating glimpses all season. Again, not had much of a run. I think you look at Cantwell, Rankin Costello, Hedges, Buckley. They're all decent players, but they've not lived up to the expectations. I'm going to go with 5 for Hedges. Great through ball yesterday, Ryan. Great through ball.
More of that, please. John Buckley, who's next?
Me.
It's mine.
10 piece in there. Oh, it's fantastic. More games. Just needs more games.
Absolutely. Well done.
Yeah, these last 3 players, Costello, Hedges and Buckley, all 3 of those I'd be selling in summer, I'll be honest with you. Buckley, he come in the other day against Borough, weren't it? Kind of got his chance. And again, to me, just prove that he's just not good enough at this level. And yes, Jonty is going to say he's not getting his run in the team, but he never comes in and just shows me anything. Just so many lazy passes, in my opinion, where he's just playing the ball into trouble or just lazily hitting it up the pitch. Just not good enough for me. And I'd give him I think it's only fair to give him the same rating as Costello, so a 4. I'd sell.
Oh man, that burns. That's quite painful, that one. But I think this is a prime opportunity now that if we are thrown in the towel and there is we're on flatlined on the old playoffs. Maybe it's a chance for Buckley to play out the next 3 games or so, 4 games, to see if he's got, because it could be the answer alongside somebody in midfield. Who knows? So I think some of these guys have really got a step it up the next 4 games if they're going to be part of Blackburn Rovers next season. Lewis Travis not being one of them. Denver.
7.5, because I was looking at it and I saw Sanderson's a 7. He's done better than that. Tronstad 8. He's been really consistent. Yeah, I could have given him an 8, but I don't know. Just solid. He's had the mistake in him every now and then, but very rare. Solid season. Captain has been really good. Done.
Okay. Adam Forshaw, Jonty.
For that goal against Plymouth.
Yeah, it's a 10, isn't it? You've got to feel sorry for the guy, haven't you? Really, 6. Yeah, we'll just move this one on 6.
Yeah, lovely.
Who gets Koza Dubry?
Jacob.
Started off okay.
Yeah, he's absolutely fell off a cliff, hasn't he? He was practically assisted against us.
Recent times, I don't know.
Yeah, one at recent home games, he came on and basically gave the opposition the ball, and I think it was Cardiff actually. Yeah, just I don't know what's happened. Like the first time he come on the pitch, full of pace, looked so exciting, direct, and then just as of late, he's been absolutely woeful. And we've had the likes of Ryan Hedges starting games ahead of him, which just says everything you need to know. So. I mean, yeah, when the wingers have been as poor as they have this season, and you're not getting a look in it, it's not a great look. I think I'd give him a 5 because, yeah, started the season all right, but he's been pretty diabolical since.
Who's getting Maktar? I'm worried.
John T.
Denver.
Is it?
Denver.
Yeah.
Oh, it is me.
Oh, you saved them there, Jacob.
Yeah.
I've got to
Six.
say, Big Mac.
I think he's had his moments. He had a long drought when he was questioning him at the beginning when everyone was saying, "Oh, this guy's not going to be the one." Someone called John T. And then bang, he puts one against Sheffield Wednesday. He scored a few more. And he is a good character to a degree. He has his arguments on the pitch half the time. And him and Dolan are always at each other's necks on the pitch. But he's not perfect by all means. But he has contributed enough for me to consider he's had an all right season. I'd say 6.
Are we really giving Maktar the same rating as Forshaw?
I think so. You say that, but
hey, it's in ink. We've inked it. It's in there now. It's going to go down in history.
I don't even think Johnson had given that low.
Okay, we've got Tyrese Dolan. Johnson stepped it up the last couple of games, I think. I think he's already got his move down. He's probably figured that out, and he's playing with confidence because he's playing.
I think if anybody's going to Derby, it's unfortunately Tyrese Dolan. You know, I like what I see when he performs. You'd much prefer to have him rather than play against him. So if we base it on the last 3 games, he's a solid 7, maybe 7.5, maybe even an 8. Based on the whole season, though, I think 6. There was a lot of frustration there for me, sort of, a few months ago.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
6.
And I think, like you're saying, Johnson, it wouldn't surprise me when he's putting on his Instagram thanking Eustace publicly and all this. I'm not sure there was any other player who did that on their Instagram. I think it was only Dolan.
But imagine if they do go down and if he's signed on the dotted line, he could be playing League One football next season. So let's hope. Let's hope, hey. We've got Andreas Wyman, superstar hero, legend.
Yeah, I think considering we got him on a free, I think an 8 would be fair. Obviously, I'm not sure if he is our top goal scorer now, but he's popped up with some really important goals and just a brilliant poacher. I'd say he's the best poacher we've had since Jordan Rhodes. Just always in the right place at the right time, just to tap it in. My mind goes back to Cardiff away. He was just class that day, weren't he?
New deal? You want him here next season?
Yeah,
definitely. Give him a 1 year. I think he's at that age where my mind goes back to like a Stuart Downing. You can have a really good season, then the next season just not be the same player. But I'd definitely give him the 1 year extension. Yeah.
Okay, Harry Leonard.
So I feel like this is a really tough one for Harry Leonard. Just in the he's always nearly there, and there's always an injury. He's not quite got it, and it reminds me of your JRCs, your John Buckley's here, genuinely, in the sense of he gets back and he's injured at the start of the season. He's like, I'm gonna step up this season. I need to get more goals. Never seems to do it. Always seems to miss chances, and then he might get one, and then he's injured for God knows how long, and then he comes back, and he's gonna come back, and then he's injured again. And it's the story of his career at the minute. I can't see him kicking on in a Rovers shirt, unfortunately. Just the amount of injuries, and I think it's a 4. Honestly, I think it's a 4. See, I don't sit on the fence all the time, Dirk. Do I?
No. I think the next season he has to probably go on loan, get a loan.
Yeah.
I'm not writing him off. I think there's a good player in there. It might take a little bit of time. Not everybody bursts on the scene and stays on the scene in 21 or something. I think he'll get there. It's just we need to get a full season out of him, and hopefully in League One with like a Peterborough or something like that, and then take from there. Yuki Ohashi, Jonty.
Yeah, I think next season he's going to shine. I think this season he was, just finding his feet in English football. I think he's taken to it exceptionally well. When you compare him against the other striker that we've talked about, which is, he's shown a couple of really good games, and I thought I was going to be, removing the egg off my face even now. But again, it's Maktar to score so little goals when you're that tall is
Sam Gallagher-esque.
you should be arrested for that. Do you know what I mean? You should be frog march off the pitch in handcuffs. You know what I mean?
It's gone, Jonty. We're talking about Yuki.
Yeah, no, but I haven't finished yet. So no, I think my point is for Yuki to come in the last 2 games and score 2 goals says it all, that it can be done and it should be done. I want anybody that puts on the famous blue and white shirt or red and black or pink, whatever colour they're playing in, to do well. And Yuki, for me, he just puts in an extra shift. He creates stuff more. So for me, I think 8 feels a bit harsh. 9 feels a bit overkill. So, you know,
8.5.
yeah, 8.
I
Well,
wonder where we go with that.
no, can I change it? 8.35, please,
Oh
Dirk,
gosh,
because
I can't squeeze that in there, can I?
I know. No, you can't. I just want to have a bit of a laugh at you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I still think he's got more to give as well. I think next season he'll shine.
Right.
Yeah.
Quote him on that. Let's see what happens.
You've actually done it.
Who's this guy? Completely don't even know who he is. Manuel
Neil
Dennis.
Dennis.
Yeah, that sounds about right, Dirk.
Disappointed.
I mean, yeah, extremely. I think he got an assist, didn't he, in one game?
Yeah.
And yeah, showed kind of glimpses, but yeah, I mean,
I think he has been unlucky, to be fair, in terms of
Very unlucky. Very unlucky.
he had
yeah,
one full game against Wolves, then he got sent off, and then he got injured. If I'm right.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
sending off ball was a bit silly in my opinion, but yeah, I mean, considering he's on, I think we're paying 25 grand a week for him, and yeah, he's just made no impact. I think I'll give him a 1 because he got an assist, and I'm hoping the next guy gets a 0.
No pressure, Denver. Cully Woodrow.
2 just to piss off. But Joe, generally, I think
He
he's not got
started.
injured.
He started a game, didn't he?
He started a game. He didn't get injured.
He's done absolutely nothing, Denver.
But he's not got sent off, and he's not injured, so it's fine. So we get to 2. It's not abysmal. It's bloody close though.
Well, there's not
We
much.
let Arne Sigurdsson go just for a body.
Don't make me cry.
Yeah. What about wrapping it up with Augustus Cargbo, Jonty?
Yeah, dead easy one for me. This Kabaro 6, but potentially to be 8 or 9 next season.
Yeah. I think
I'm just reading exactly what Mark Anderson wrote in the comments, and I think, to be fair, I think that captures it perfectly. I like Rovers guy though; he seems a good chap. Kabaro, I love him. Rovers guy will give him a 9. So yeah. Yeah, but no, I see potential. I like the speed that he possesses. I said it before. He reminded me the way that he hogs that left wing. There's only 2 other players I can think of that's ever done that at Rovers, and that's Damien Duff and Scott Sellers. And you know, for me to be even mentioning those people in the same sentence means I see a big potential in them. So yeah.
Scary, that pace, really scary. I've not seen pace like that for a long, long time.
You've not seen
Can
me
he cross? Have we seen him cross the ball yet? Can he do that?
He did really well against Wolves. I remember thinking, he's making Premier League defenders look like shaky. I was thinking, bloody hell, we've got some player here, and it's just such a shame we got that injury. Because honestly, I think we've got a hell of a player next season there. As long as we keep him fit. We might lose them in January for all we know, but let's hope we have a good player and we have a good enough squad that we don't have to sell him on to a bloody Palace, whatever.
He's that good. Jonty's just got all wet and had to clean himself up.
No, I've got. People think it's apple juice in it. It's just like cider. I just go through that at night. Yeah, it's just like, and I've opened the top.
JDT. Look at that.
So here's where we find ourselves, 10th in the table, 12 points remaining. Where are we ending up, Jacob, you reckon?
I mean, we've got Millwall, Sheffield United, Sunderland, and Watford. Yeah.
Derby.
Yeah. I mean, I think Should we do points, Dirk, and then also say where we're going to finish?
Yeah, go for it. Points. These are the games.
Yeah. I'll be a bit controversial. I'm going to say we'll beat Millwall. We're on a high right now. Let's hope that can continue. Sunderland away. I don't know, because obviously they've not really got much to play for now at this point. So I'll go a draw. Watford at home. Where are Watford in table, Dirk?
They're about just below us, level on points.
Could be a bit of a dead rubber, that one. I'll say we'll win that.
Dead rubber.
I don't know why I'm being so positive because I've been absolutely miserable the past couple of months. But I think we've turned a corner, Dirk. So that's 7 points, and then Sheffield United have absolutely capitulated. So we're going to beat them. We're going to beat them. Final game of the season, and we're going to sneak into the playoffs. Dirk.
Wow! So you've still got a little bit of life left in the tank. Denver, what do you think? What's your sitting on the fence like? Draw here, draw here, draw here, draw here. All them.
It's going to be. I'm going to say a loss to Millwall, a loss to Sunderland. We'll beat Watford. And we'll lose to Sheffield United. So 3 points out of a possible, what is it? 3.
It's miserable.
Well,
gosh.
It'll just be our season.
It will be our season.
Yeah.
Jonty, what are you thinking? And how many other games are you going to, Jonty, out of these 4?
Well, that's the key thing. Well, unfortunately, I can't go to Millwall because I've got to go down to bloody Kent to a wedding. So my auntie's wedding. So I'm not going to. I didn't go Sheffield Wednesday at home because I was working away. Not going to Millwall. So I feel like a proper Venky's out kind of dude now. Voting with my feet. I ain't going anymore. But that's not the case. But I think I jokingly said on our internal text chat that the VI for Valérien Ismaël, that was actually Roman numerals for how many points he's going to pick up between now and the end of the season. Well, we've got 3 already, so we just need to win one more, and I've got my point proven, wasn't it? So, yeah, I mean, that wine is strong in there. I can see. This is what I'm thinking. I can see us beating Millwall. I don't know why. We own 1. We had a horrible game against them. We lost 1-0. I can see Sunderland taking the foot off the gas, resting a few players because they're in the playoffs now. So why would they want to go and get anybody injured? They're like a little island in 4th. So therefore, I can see us beating Watford just because we're at home and we might have a bit of momentum. Sheffield United are going to be on the beach because the 3rd in the league, and I think they'll finish 3rd. So again, a bit like Sunderland, I think they'll be resting players for the playoffs. So what am I saying?
You haven't given the results for Sunderland or Sheffield United, Jonty.
No, what I'm saying is I think we could win all 4 games, but that is me being exactly. I don't think that will happen, but I can see us beating Millwall and Watford at home. I think Sunderland will start winding down now because they're in the playoffs, so happy days for them. Sheffield United, I think the league will be done, and then I think the Burnley will beat Sheffield United, so that will almost keep them out of automatic hope. So therefore, by the time we play them, they'll be resting players for the playoffs. So honestly, I can see us. So
how likely do you think I need to get a plane ticket for the May here?
Oh my God, no! I wouldn't even let you get a plane ticket with your own money, Dirk. So I'm not even going to pay for it myself. But I can just see that happening. I don't think would even knowing Rovers would get all 12 points and we still wouldn't end up in the playoffs, would we? And I said right at the start of this season, I thought we'd finish 8th or 9th. So I'm going to stick with what I am. I'm not going to be deluded. I'm going to say we're going to get 6 points out of the last 4 games. 4 or 6 points.
4 or 6 points. So that probably assumes not in the top 6. I don't think so. I think that would be 6 right now, and Coventry play tomorrow. I think Hull City. So outside the top 6, of course, and that's probably right. Denver, you said what? 2 points,
3,
something like that.
3,
1
points.
Win. So where you reckon? Where are you placing us in this table?
I'm saying 12th. I think I put him 11th originally, but I'm going to say 12th. We'll finish 12th.
And Jacob, you were gung ho there. So what does that mean?
Being uber optimistic after we've turned the corner there. We've just got 4 points in a week. Like,
I know. I did say way back at the start of the 3 games. I said if we can get 4 points out of it, I'd be very happy. So I am that. I'm happy about it. 4 points in the bag, and yes, a massive. That's all I've got. I think. Yeah, that's all I've got on my graphics. It was thrown together, but no, I think it's a great response of late. Of course, it's a lot. Does a little bit of sort of sorting out the grim times at the fan base, but still a lot of work to do. And but I'm definitely looking forward to the summer and not stressing about Rovers and just seeing the what's to come with ins and outs.
I concur with that. I think the fact that the international break, I think I was more ready for the international break than the players were.
Mm.
You know, when Derby away, Stoke away. Well, Denver, you were there at Stoke, weren't you, as well? And we were just like, yeah. Yeah, it was a tough watch was that, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was awful. That was...
I'm ready.
I know this has gone on for 90 minutes, Dirk, but do we not need a bit of a quick chat about Val as to where we're all at with Val?
Okay, well, well, you know where I'm at, so let's start with Denver. We'll start with Denver. You know, Val's had a tough start, but the progress is there. Not all managers. I'm an attorney fighting this corner here. Not all managers get the perfect start. New manager bounce. Look at Bloomfield at Luton Town. So where are you at with Mr. Bonjour?
Everyone always said, look at Sir Alex Ferguson. He lost his first, blah blah. And then look what right now. I'm not convinced, but I can say the same about John Eustace at the end of last season. In terms of he did the job for us. Did I think he was going to push us the following season, or we had to look to change manager because we didn't want to be in the same position? I thought John Eustace wasn't going to do that, and look what he did. He got us into the playoffs. So I'll be happily proved wrong, but my head right now says that he's not going to be the man to take us to the next level. From what I've seen so far, given the benefit of the doubt, he'd come in. He said he didn't want to change too much. It makes sense. We were in the playoffs. We were doing reasonably well. I know we weren't in great form at the time, and it didn't work. So he's gone right. I've lost the first 1-2 games. I'm going to try and implement my style. That's going to take time. And the style wasn't really working. And he was saying this energetic football that we weren't seeing. And as a coach myself, looking at it, like I just didn't know how we were setting up. We were playing deep, looking to play on the counter-attack, but anytime we won the ball, we'd hump it up long to Ohashi when we had Miktar on the bench, and we're trying to win scraps and not trying to win second balls. I remember thinking, what are we trying to do here? And we lost so many games and we didn't change it. And then when we did change it to, right, we're going to try, with Ohashi up top, and we're going to try. We've got Hedgie on the right, which I know Eustace had done. They've switched Dolan and Hedgie, so they would play on their stronger foot to get balls in to Miktar. But then Ohashi played for the middle, and we're trying to. Why don't we switch them back around so they can get shots off? And I was looking at it as from a coach, I'm thinking, what are you trying to do here? Like, what is your end goal here in this setup? And the football was like really, really poor. We've gone from. I know we didn't create much, but we were at least solid at the back, and we were leaking in goals because we're try and play this expansive football and trying to win the ball high. That we're exposing ourselves to at the back, and then we're not been able to transition properly, and it was just a mess. But yesterday's performance and the back end of the Sheffield Wednesday performance, even though I didn't watch it, I've seen. And I've heard from people. My dad went to the game, of course, and he said that we just looked a bit better in the momentum that we took, and then we took it into the Luton game and looked really good. So I'm yet to be proven wrong. Like Jonty said at the beginning of the video, that he's the fact that he's not coming over and speaking to the fan, applauding the fans, and even when we win and he doesn't do it, it is a concern. Look. If I'm a manager, we're all different people, and that might not make his style. I don't know what he did at other clubs if he did go and do that with his Barnsley and stuff like that. I'm not too sure. It's not something I've looked into. But as a manager, you want the fans to be on your side, and not doing that in the hard times, all the good times is a bit of a okay. Do you not want to be invested? Do you not want to be part of the club and want to do well? Maybe because of his past experiences with like to Watford, where they got rid of him in a few weeks. Half of him might be thinking I might be gone in a few weeks. We'll see. I don't know, but yeah, that's the one thing I'm like, okay. If I'm there, I want to fans. get behind this team. Don't give any excuse to have anything backlash. And at the minute, he is doing that with that. But look, good performance yesterday. That doesn't mean it's fixed and we're gonna win 4 games like Jonty said. But we will hope. We all can do is hope, and I'll only be pleasantly surprised. I think it's the word I'm looking for. But my general thoughts are I'm not convinced. I don't think what I've seen is I've not been impressed.
Jonty, I want to hear from your point of view on the coach.
Do you?
Yeah.
Surprises me. Just to be clear, I was kind of tongue in cheek when I said I could see us winning all 4. I didn't listen in. I did say
it does.
6 points, but no, Ishmael. Let's cast our mind back. He came in at a difficult time. It was already becoming toxic. I can understand why he doesn't come over to the fans. Even I don't want to go over to the fans sometimes when they're singing Venky's out and all of that. He's probably keeping a low profile. He just wants to let the football do the talking. It's hard to judge him at this moment in time because we've not seen a lot. I've been happy with the majority of his lineups, to be fair. Especially the one at Derby. I looked at the Derby. I thought, bloody hell, yeah, this is a great lineup. This is probably one that I would have personally chosen as well. But we're 2-0 down within 7 minutes, wasn't it? So that went straight out the window. What a load of bollocks that was. But then some of his substitutions I've agreed with. I like that he's not just a kind of manager that does it on 60 minutes. This time yesterday morning, I was saying that we've not actually seen Ishmael in a winning position. So how does he handle that? But then as soon as we see him in a winning position, within 5 minutes, we're down to 10 men. So again, we've not seen enough of him to make an informed decision on him. For me, he was best of the rest. You say he's had a tough time. I'd only caveat that but we've played on paper 4 or 5 really winnable games in that, and we've not managed to do that. But equally, and I'll say it again, we were on a shocking run of form before Ishmael came in. So I want the guy to do well. I think he's whatever he says at half time, because at the minute I sometimes feel like I want half my money back because I only get to see one half of football. The first half they don't turn up, the second half they come out like a different team. So should I be getting some? Should we just put the ticket prices to 15 quid next season rather than the match day prices to 15 quid because we only get to see half a game of football? But no, I wish him well. It's hard to call. I think I'm probably more in the Dirt camp rather than the Denver camp. I think he will do all right. I don't think we'll be threatened with relegation next season if we can sign some half decent players in terms of by our caliber. That is, no, I don't mean I'm not going to be deluding and go for the 5, 6, 7 million pound players, but if we can get some decent,
the right players,
the right players, the grit, the determination, and I think we'd all have 11 Travises on the pitch, wouldn't we?
Before you have a crack at this, Jake, I'll say Val Ishmael and Rovers, as long as they stick with him, they will better this season's performance end of where we finish in the table. I reckon we'll top it next season. So if we finish 12th, I think we're better than that. If you finish 6th, then I'll take that back. Well, where are you at then, Jacob? I think you're probably more Denver than me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's this talk of in the summer that there might be some sort of clause where Ishmael could walk away, or we can choose for Ishmael to go. Something like that's been bandied about. I think at this point in time, maybe the relationship between himself and the fans is kind of too much damage been done. Even if we go into the summer and it's a really positive window, as soon as we start to hit a bad spell next season, I can just see things getting really tough for him. Whereas under Eustace, yes, we had some tough spells, but I think he built enough credit up in the bank that, we saw some idiots on Twitter saying sack him and all this, but the loud majority was, we're having a bad spell. Let's kind of get through it. I think as soon as we hit one of those spells next season, which we will, I can see the same sort of toxicity coming back in and around the club. I don't think he's very likable. I don't think he's very charismatic. I've not kind of connected with him through his interviews and stuff the same way I did with a Eustace and even a John Dove Thomason, who was another foreign manager, but I still think he had more charisma than Ishmael does. He just kind of seems like he almost doesn't want to be here in some of the interviews, which he probably doesn't at the minute, to be honest with you. But yeah, I find it confusing that obviously he's come in and he's been told from the board not to change things, but I thought it was apparent from that first game at Derby he had. Eustace, we'd send the ball along, we'd pick up the scraps with the second balls, getting it off Maktar or whatever. That just completely stopped as soon as Ismaël come in. And he has tried to change the style of football. I don't think there's any doubt about it. And he's going on about high press football. I'm not seeing any of that. Sheffield Wednesday were pressing way more than we were, and we're at home, and we're meant to be this high pressing team. Yeah, and he's going on in his pre-match stuff saying how it's so hard to go from a low block to a high press and getting the players to change that philosophy. And it's like, well, hold on, you told me when you were coming and you weren't going to do that because we're in a really good spot. You don't fix something that's broken, and ultimately he had done that. And yes, I completely agree, Jonty, that I think Eustace had 2 wins since Millwall before he left, and then Law came in and got another 2. So things were on a downwards trend. So I can't pin all of this onto Ismaël, but I think I can positively say that the past 8 games have been pretty fucking woeful on a whole, and I've seen some of the worst football I've seen at Rovers for a long time. And
But is that down to Ismaël, or is that all the shit that's going on around the club? I don't know. I know what you're saying. It's not been pretty. Some of it hasn't been pretty, but I mean, Stoke wasn't a pretty game. But again, we could have won that. 2 world class saves from the best keeper in the championship, and it's yeah. I get what you're saying. I don't know. I think it's more circumstance than anything else for me. But
just not creating anything though, are we? And that's my main thing. I look at Luton yesterday.
We did on the Eustace, yeah. And I also want to iterate on that. I think I said it in the group chat, and I was going to say this for the podcast anyway. It's on the whole, he said he wasn't going to change much, and then he has done. If I'm the coach and I come into a club that is in the top 6, and they're doing reasonably well, I know we want a downward trajectory, but we're in the top 6 for a reason. We must be playing good. I wouldn't want to, come in and go and start changing things, because if you do that, you lose the fans. We're winning. Why are we doing this? So I understand he's come in, but then it's not whatever's. He's come in. We lost 3-0 to Swansea with the same football. We had been losing.
That was low.
It's low, but ultimately it was still Eustace's philosophy that we were playing under. Right? It wasn't. Under 3 games under Lowe, we hadn't just got its Lowe's style of football. It was Eustace's football, but with David Lowe in charge, it was that. So we've come in, and then it's not worked at all. So as a manager, you are now in charge. You're not gonna, stick with the same philosophy if it's not working. So he's gone, right, I'm going to start implementing my style. Possibly it might not work for a few games, ready for next season. It's going to take time to bed in, and that's what's happened. My issue was with some of the decisions within games, like, we're crossing balls into Yuki Ohashi, and then I'm looking at it going, I'll just rotate Hedgie and Dolan so we can maybe get more shots off at goal, because we're not getting enough shots, and we don't do that. We're still crossing balls into Ohashi. I'm like, okay. When we're looking like we're going to play press high, which we have done, but we're not there yet. We've not worked it out yet. So the press is, if they beat the press, they find the ball in midfield, and they've got all this space to come and counter us with, which is a big issue. But when we do win the ball in defensive areas, it's a long ball up to Ohashi, who's up top, and it's like, are we not going to try and build through? Which it's what I would expect from, if we have got the ball, let's try and build through. But if you are going to play that long ball, you'd play it to a Miktar Gay for second ball to be picked up with the Campbell Johashis around. And we weren't doing any of that. And it was painful to watch.
Cut him a bit of slack, lads. Come on. I mean, ordinarily, when a football manager comes in, they have a little bit of time, don't they? They have maybe a pre-season. He's come in at like a really crucial time in February with a load of pressure in a toxic atmosphere. It's like some Rovers guy, he's put like, our defence is so bad under Ismaël. I don't think it is. I think we take a few more risks. You know,
Yeah.
we do just push up a little bit forward because under Eustace we did sit bloody deep, really, really deep. Now we're pushing a little bit further up the field, even if it's only another, 5 or 6 yards. We are doing that. We're going to see, and I said it, I called it out. I said we're going to see more goals being conceded, but equally we're going to score more goals.
But
Because
we haven't.
Yet.
It's the main
Yeah,
thing.
but I think under Ishmael we will. We'll concede more, but we'll also score more. And you're right. Have we seen that yet? No. But I think the second half against Sheffield Wednesday probably is going to be more of a true reflection, hopefully, of what of what we're going to see. That sort of intensity, that attacking flair, that creativity. It might be wine in there that's kicking in again. Do you know what I mean? But no, I'm there's a little bit of me. I want the guy to do amazingly well, and again, I wouldn't get too hung up on other things about him coming over to the fans and what he says in interviews and things like that. I think that's just a cultural thing. I think the French, to be fair, are a little bit more direct. They're not as friendly or as charismatic, generally speaking. I know that's a sweeping statement. I'm going to get shot down by quite a lot of French people that ever watch this. All three of them. But it's just a cultural thing. So we don't need to get hung up on little pedantic things. But let's. I guess the message is the same. Just support the club. Support the team, support the manager there, control the controllables. We can't control what's going on at the club, but what we can control is how we support the team that are put out and the manager in there, and that's what we need to do as a fan base.
I do want to iterate.
Amen.
I'm not against Ishmael. I want Ishmael to do really well. I was happy with his appointment. Reasonably happy with his appointment.
You could have fooled me, Denver. You could have fooled me.
But I do caveat that what I've seen has been poor. It has been put from as a coach, from a coaching perspective. I'm looking at going, what are your outcomes here? What are your?
Well,
I understand what he says, but we're not seeing it. That was it for me. But we have seen it. Luton was a very good performance, and everything that we did. With the good passes of play, winning the ball and quickly counter-attacking and playing through balls into Yuki on the floor, not putting long balls in behind, was superb. And that's what I want to see, and that's what we got. But before then, it was a bit like, what am I watching here?
Let me add one piece on this. So yeah, I think the Blackburn Rovers, they dropped the ball with John Eustace. I think they let a real good manager go. By ballsing up and not backing him or what have you. So we dropped a clanger on that. I think Valérien Ismaël is a good appointment, and I think we will see the best out of him. From the players and the performances point of view, I think the players had their feet pulled out from like a rug from under them. They didn't see this coming. John Eustace abandoning ship and leaving them there, so they were down the dumps. Morale was taking an even bigger knock. And then when you look at that as a professional point of view, any workplace, if you have a good relationship with somebody and they just bugger off without no warning, that's going to knock you sideways, and you're going to feel it. And then you're going to get a Frenchman in who's completely different. His way of playing might be different, and his whole personality might be different. So it's going to take time to bed in. And I think getting rid of these loanies that we have and bringing in players approved by Valérien Ismaël will slowly change the work environment, and the sort of the positivity will change, and we will see a better Rovers next season. Right now, we can't. This is it. These are the players, John Eustace players. Valérien Ismaël has to work with these guys. A lot of them are thinking, "Oh, I can't understand a word he says," or whatever. They're going to be like that. And all we can do, and again, he's not charismatic, and I've seen clips of him from Watford and West Brom running up and down the pitch and all that, but I think that's because that's his team. Once he has a summer saying, okay, these are my boys, this is how we're going to play, we're going to see something completely different, and hopefully it'll be for the good. And again, we are Rovers, we don't sack managers. So some people saying in the chat, it'll be gone by November. I don't think so. I think we're going to have to ride this gravy train a little bit. But I am going to stand by him, and I think we will see an improvement, not necessarily in the next 4 games, but next season it will be better. And there was somebody shouting in the chat there about John T and Steve Keane.
Steve Keane. I knew I seen that.
But I don't think we want to bring
John,
that
did you
nasty thing back up again.
Owen Coyle by any chance? Well, I prefer both of those more than JDT. So
And-
yeah,
And that's another point. We hired this guy. We could have hired some
Me?
right old nightmare. Not
all
you.
right. I thought you
No,
meant you hired me.
No. We hired
Hired the clown.
The Rovers hired this guy. We could have hired some real dog shit managers out there. And I still think, at the end of the day, he will prove to be a solid appointment. But I do think we dropped a big old clanger letting John Eustace go, because I think he would have.
I think Owen Coyle had a better first 8 games than Ishmael.
Rovers guy. I think to be fair, I agree with John T on JDT. Good lad. I want to meet this guy. Invite him on. Yeah. Speaking of dog shit, when we're watching Jacob sing karaoke.
Oh, I don't. Now you're bringing.
Oh, I'm going to watch it later.
Yourselves while I try and see if I can.
I'm going to take my leave now. Okay.
No. I don't even know how I'm doing it yet. You just see if I can. How do I share screen?
Oh no! Oh,
it won't let me do audio.
Don't get back to that. Come on, let's get it on.
I said talk amongst yourselves. It's going to take me a minute to figure this out.
I'll just say quickly then that one of my worries at the minute is from that 30-minute video that we seem to be going back to the John Doe philosophy now of let's get kids through the academy and let's find the next Adam Wharton to sell. And I think we saw under John Doe that having such a young team didn't really work, especially obviously in that second season where it was just men versus boys a lot of the time. Like going to Turf Moor and you've got Jake Garrett in the midfield who's now playing bottom end of League 2. You know what I mean? So that is a concern for next season.
What was that called that day?
Mauler. Clinton Mauler, we had him at the back.
Yeah, where's he now? I saw him the other day. I just thought, is he Bristol Rovers? Bristol Rovers, something like that.
I saw him at Reading last, but they might have fucked him off by now. But
I think he's at. Honestly, I think he's at Bristol Rovers. He was on Sky the other day, and I was just like, here we go.
Yeah.
What do we think of James? I'll tell you what is, if you haven't seen this. Here we go. Yeah, if for anybody watching and you guys on here, Accrington Stanley 3, Tranmere 3. Have you seen those goals? If you've not, make sure you watch that. Right. So Accrington are 3-0 up at half time, and it's the best comeback of comebacks. And Tranmere scoring something like the 78th, the 89th, and the 106th. You won't see an away end like the Tranmere away end. And all 3 goals are absolute worldies as well. But when that third goes in, you talk about limbs, right, in the away end. This is just incredible. It's just phenomenal. You need to see that. So, yeah, Accrington versus Tranmere. Here we go. Oh my God, my friend went to that game. He's a massive Stanley fan. He was gutted. Yeah, I'm sure he would be. But as
you're not as gutted as this guy. Let's play it out. Can you hear it? I want it that way. Tell me why. Tell me why. Ain't nothing but a mistake. Tell me why. I never wanna hear you say I want it that way.
Voice of an angel. Voice of a Northern angel, like Adam Armstrong.
Yikes.
I'm going to pay you the biggest compliment. What you do on here is 10 times better than your. You're a great pundit.
Well, on that note, guys, I appreciate everyone's input, and hopefully we'll have a good Easter. 2 games in space of 4 days, 6 points in the bag. Big Val's in charge. Big Val at the wheel.
In Val we trust.
In Big Val we trust. I'm going to bounce out of here. You guys are amazing. Pressing end X. See you all later in the chat. Ciao, ciao, ciao.
10 points.